where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community. And I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. And I think we're well on our way to doing that. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, where I guess Tom Brady has made some comments on Patrick Mahomes, and the real question is are the Chiefs the new Patriots? And I didn't see this clip, but I saw that Mangini is on there, so I definitely wanted to do it because I'm curious to see what he has to say, because I'm sure, as most of you know, he was he was a coach within the Patriots organization, and obviously has long history with them. So there's not too much to say at the top, so I just really want to hear what they have to say. I believe we know what Nick Wright is going to say, so I'm more curious to see what Mangini and Brew has to say, but maybe Nick will surprise us.
Quarterback, dominant tight end, my fandom. Chiefs are the new Patriots, with all the good and the bad that comes with it, according to Corey Woodruff of USA Today, writing, like Brady and the Patriots did for all those years, Mahomes and the Chiefs will be the biggest obstacles for your favorite football team finally getting over the hump to bring a Lombardi back to your home stadium. While it won't happen every year, it'll always stand the chance of happening. Nick, your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly right. I'm not being sarcastic here. I empathize and I get the frustration for the other AFC teams, because it was a dynasty handoff with no gap year between it in the same conference. The Patriots from 11 to 18 in that 8-year stretch made the AFC title game every year, made 5 Super Bowls. The Chiefs from 18 to now, because they played each other in that AFC title game, have made the AFC title game every year, and in the 5 years since have made 4 of the 5 Super Bowls. So which means from 2011 to 2013, the AFC Super Bowls have been 5 for Tom, 4 as appearances. 5 for Tom, 4 for Patrick, 2 for Peyton as a Bronco, and then Joe Flacco got a weird one, and Joe Burrow got a weird one. So everyone else has to feel like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And so that part of it. Now, what I will say is this, and Brew, you might agree. Coach is going to reflexively disagree, but I think you'll have to agree. If the Chiefs win Sunday, they top the Patriots' best 5-year stretch. And it's the best 5-year stretch in NFL history. 5. If we can show it to you, what it would be. This is if they win Sunday. It's essentially identical with, as close as you can get, but one more regular season win. They both will have been to the conference title game every year. They both will have lost Super Bowl. They both will have won 3. It's at least a tie, if you will, and there's nothing else comes close, because the Cowboys in the 90s didn't get to a 4th. The Steelers in the 70s they needed 6 years, so from a 5-year stretch. So that's where we're at. The Chiefs started off at the apex of the Patriots dynasty.
I agree with everything you said. However, the article was saying not just AFC teams not liking the Chiefs, but fans, like all of the NFL world outside of Kansas City, not liking them as the evil empire. And that's where I'll counter. I think they could actually be like the anti-Patriots, because, just starting off with the quarterbacks, and obviously Brady's liked, but Mahomes has been more of a driving force in this dynasty than Brady was at the beginning. It was Brady and Belichick, because Brady, they turned it around with Brady, but he wasn't doing what he wasn't leading them like Mahomes has led the Chiefs. Secondly, there's no cheating scandal. Like, a lot of the reason people dislike the Patriots was because of the cheating scandal. I think I think a lot of people that was the case.
Then added to it, because even if you didn't want to care about the first
but that
one, there was a second
later.
One. Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
So I think there was that. I think Kansas City is more likable. Mahomes and Andy Reid is much more likable than Belichick. He's in all these commercials.
Because he eats hamburgers?
No, but he's good. It's funny in the commerciors. And so, because what I think is this, Coach.
Motif was he didn't care about being liked.
Right.
I like that.
Okay.
But here's the look. Just because you dominate and you become a dynasty, like the article was painted like it's going to be boring. Like, who's going to beat the Chiefs? The Jordan Bulls dominated unlike anything we've seen in the NBA since Bill Russell. And they were beloved because Jordan's style of play was exciting.
That's right.
That's where we talked earlier. Yes, it's nice if they keep winning with the defense, but you got Patrick Mahomes. If they let him cook and be as exciting as he's been earlier in his career, then I think a lot of people will just love them and they'll become America's team for a stretch.
So I think that's a great point. This whole idea that everyone's out to get the Chiefs, I get why the Chiefs do that because it's better to play when you're kind of like the underdog and, you know, us against the world mentality. I've been on teams like that and, you know, you really rally behind it. And you see this with all the great teams. They try to find a way or find a way for people to hate them. But for the most part, the Chiefs are nowhere near as disliked as the Patriots. And for many Super Bowls over the years that I remember just even growing up watching, like many people were rooting against Tom Brady and the Patriots. And I don't even think Tom Brady became this super likable figure until later on in his career. Honestly, that's the way my perception of it is. And then of course, obviously he kept winning and all of that. And he was always respected, of course. But it was just different, right? I don't see a ton of, and again, you're of course you're always going to see jerseys and people and the teams and stuff like that around, but there is such a different, more buzz around, say, Patrick Mahomes, the joy that Patrick Mahomes plays, the running around. I think in a lot of ways Patrick Mahomes has tapped into the Steph Curry type thing, right? Like, a lot of people love to hate LeBron James and root against LeBron James for, for good reasons or bad reasons or whatever reasons. But people really rallied behind Steph Curry and loved him. And they say he changed the NBA and all of that. And again, I feel like I always use my mom as an example, because she's the definition of just like a casual fan. She watches a game, knows the people, and a lot of it, she's like, it's like, well, what, do they appear on her shows, right? Her random, The View or whatever, things of that nature. And when Tom Brady, I think Tom Brady kind of helped when he when he was dating and married Giselle. That kind of puts him in the more like, hey, he's just a guy and look at this sweet, kind of celebrity couple, right? They became kind of like a celebrity couple, so to speak. And I think that kind of helped that general, like, do we like him? Do we not like him? Right. Tom Brady was even in an episode of Entourage. And the whole premise was Turtle was like, oh, I hate Tom Brady. And then he's like, man, Tom Brady's actually just really cool guy. Right. And like that, all those little things really factor into like how people feel about him. And maybe not for you true fans who really understand the game, you're not looking at it through that lens, but so you got to take a step back and think of just like the more general casual fans, of people who they watch some games, if it's on, they'll watch the playoff games. We'll get together maybe with some friends if they get invited over and they watch the Super Bowl, but they're not really thinking about it. I think a lot of you guys who are watching this channel, like, you're probably really thinking about sports. You're laying in bed either watching this video or laying in bed as you go to sleep thinking about the game, like, oh God, if only Detroit caught that ball, what would have happened, right? Like you're really thinking about it. My mom's not thinking about it. My mom will get intenser in the game and she'll get all stressed out and I'll be like, why are you so stressed out? Neither of these teams are ours. She's like, I don't know. I just really want so-and-so to win. She's like, you've made me care. And it's cute. It's fun. But once it's over and she's in bed, she's not thinking about it. She doesn't wake up the next morning thinking about it, right? I am, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are as well. And I just think that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are more like the Golden State Warriors than maybe the New England Patriots or the Miami Heat. Like, people were not happy about the Miami Heat. They were rooting against them. They didn't want to see them go on a run, whether that was just because of LeBron James going down there or just because it was LeBron James in general. But I think that's, the effect. So, and I just don't think that the Patriots were necessarily beloved. Again, also because, and they brought this up, Bill Belichick. No one really wanted to see Bill Belichick succeed. People don't like to see, the general public doesn't like to see jerks succeed. And whether it's true or not, Bill Belichick is kind of perceived as a jerk, right? As just not a nice person. So and grumpy. And so who's rooting for that necessarily? You're rooting for Andy Reid. Andy Reid seems to be like a really good person. He gives people with questionable past second and third chances and tries to help them. He's had a tragic history himself. You saw that, you know, he got close when he was in the NFC, but could never quite get it. And you even had Patrick Mahomes be like, we want to win for Andy. You know, like that was the rallying call. We want to win for Andy. Players love Andy Reid. So again, that alone is more like when he's in the commercials and, you know, my dad and mom are laughing at him in the commercial and saying, look at Andy Reid. He has such personality. Like all that stuff matters. And you're not saying that about the Patriots and stuff like that. And I don't really remember, right? Was Gronk in all the commercials when they were in their prime? I really don't remember. I mean, it was just too long ago. I don't know if those other players, but again, now you have Patrick Mahomes in every single commercial. Travis Kelce in every single commercial. Now, of course, he's with Taylor Swift, which is now adding to more people loving the Chiefs. And I just don't think the Chiefs are the villains of the NFL. I think that's just not a real narrative. And I understand if you're a Chiefs fan, you think that and you feel that way. But it's just not really the whole reality. People are not starting they've said more negative things throughout this season about the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles and the Miami Dolphins than they said bad things about the Chiefs. Yes, people pointed out the flaws of the Chiefs. That's understandable. The Chiefs had flaws throughout the season. That's different than saying hate. That's different than saying, oh, they suck. I want them to lose this, that, and the third. Of course that exists. Of course. But is it the norm? Is it the default? Was it the norm last season? Right? Because if you want to say, okay, well, that was happening this season, was that happening last season? Or was everyone just saying that the Chiefs have no chance, they're awful, they're this, that? Nobody was saying that last season. Nobody was saying that. When the Chiefs won and beat the, Josh Allen and the Bills, no one said, well, this is ridiculous. They only got, that this only happened because of the overtime rules. People debated the overtime rules and said, well, is this fair? But no one was saying that the Chiefs were lucky, that Patrick Mahomes was lucky, that he doesn't deserve to be there. They didn't say that. It was a fortunate situation, but people didn't say that was the only reason why. They said, wow, look how amazing Patrick Mahomes is. Look at that throw. Look how they did this in 13 seconds. Like, again, there was the caveat. People obviously brought up saying, is this fair that Josh Allen doesn't get to touch the ball again, and now we want to change, the overtime rules, which, again, is an appropriate discussion to have. But no one was just saying, this is so lucky, this is BS, this is nonsense, this is cheap, this is cheating. Except for if you are a Bills fan. But for the Patriots, with their cheating scandals and stuff like that, you kind of had like everyone come on, not just Patriots haters, but also just like casuals. Everyone was just like, well, this doesn't seem fair. This isn't right. What's going on here? And it just became, I just feel as though that there was just more hate baked into the Patriots than the Chiefs.
Well, look, I agree that they are more likable. They have more likable factors to them, except when you look at the reaction to the Ravens AFC Championship game, everybody was looking for Lamar Jackson to finally end the Chiefs' reign. And as likable as they are, they're kind of saturated. I mean, every single commercial, every single day is something Chiefs-related, and it gets old. And then there's the post-games like, oh, you thought we weren't going to be here, and we're here.
Stop making them underdogs.
Well, I'm just saying that.
Stop doubting them.
So now you're taunting. So there's that element.
No, they're talking to you directly.
And I understand. I understand that Nick wants to say that they were equal. I would argue that the quarterbacks that were faced during that time period were a lot more challenging than the quarterbacks that are being faced right now. I mean,
really?
Josh
Allen, Nick Foles in a Super Bowl.
This is the second batch of Super Bowl wins?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the first batch.
The second. The first batch, Jake Delhomme in a Super Bowl?
I'm just saying
Don McNabb throwing up on himself? What are we talking about?
Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger. There were a lot of elite guys that every year.
You didn't see the last block, but Mahomes is playing Drew Brees.
I did see that.
Did you see that?
No.
Was I putting Birdie on Fame? No.
Drew Brees light right now. I would argue that the level of quarterback.
I do want to add that hat, I think what he's brought up. So again, even Mangini has admitted that the Patriots were not as likable as the Chiefs. So to me, and he was part of the Patriots. So to me, you can take that to the bank. And I will say that I agree with him with that saturation of every commercial is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and stuff like that. And it gets exhausting. I mean, even if I was the biggest Patrick Mahomes fan in the world, Patrick Mahomes was my brother or whatever, my partner, doesn't matter, I would be like, enough, I can't take this anymore. Even when I hate when it's also just the same commercials again and again and again. Drives me crazy. Even if it's my own team, my own players, even if it's the most beautiful woman in the world who I think is the most amazing person ever and I want to date them, whatever, it could be Margot Robbie, Taylor Swift, whoever, I would be like, enough, I can't keep seeing this again and again and again. And I think that can feed into why people are like, please just end this, because that's what was my joke. I was like, oh, if the Chiefs lose, will they no longer be on every single commercial? And the answer is probably not. They probably still would be, because Baker Mayfield, even when his career wasn't panning out, he was still in the commercials. Only more recently now have those commercials ended, but they definitely really milked those commercials even when his career was clearly not what everyone thought it was going to be in the beginning. So I think that is what we do, and that is why people got mad. And I made a video recently about this about Taylor Swift and that effect. We just take things to the extreme again and again. We're like, oh, people like Chiefs. Commercial. And you're just like, oh my God, just stop. You know, like, it's just too much. Stop taking everything to the extreme. And people take that as just this automatic hate. And it's just like, no, it's just a feeling of suffocation. And truthfully, I don't need to see any of these athletes on all of these commercials again and again and again. It's just, whether it's, people say that I'm obsessed with Josh Allen, which is just not true at all. But if it was Josh Allen, I would be like, okay, enough is enough. If it was Jalen Hurts, if it was AJ Brown, if it was Andy Reid, Sirianni, Justin Herbert, Steph Curry, LeBron James, like any of these players, I would be like, oh my God, do I really need to see the same commercial again and again and again and again and again and again? And the answer is no.
Play at that time is arguably higher than what
Go ahead, and then
you
I'm
face.
Some think this is the best ever.
You think this is the best?
No, some think this is the best
Better than
quarterback ever.
Peyton Manning?
Hold on, he's gonna.
You guys weren't beating Peyton Manning. You guys lost.
We were.
That's not what I'm. Yes, and you missed the playoffs in the interim. We're not even talking about that.
Super Bowl
yeah, we're not.
Oh, you're talking about the second.
You're not. Yes, I am, because in the first three, you guys missed the playoffs after the first one.
Forget which batch of three you're talking about.
Well, that's not as good.
Okay, there's one.
But
2 more.
Yeah, that's.
I know we're sitting on 2. We just like, let's all.
Right. It was under the hypothesis of them winning Sunday.
I don't do
Wild.
hypotheticals.
I'm going to call.
I'm a facts guy. I got to be facts
like
too.
that.
I can't
Be
just
facts.
be here
This
waving
side of the table is facts, baby.
Yeah.
In any event,
Yeah.
Tom Brady, let's hear what he had to say. He joined Colin this afternoon. Take a listen.
I think Patrick, obviously, I think he's a tremendous player. He's a great leader. I think that's one part. Everyone would look at, a pass that's a no-look pass. I look at, how do his teammates care about him? Do they respond to him? And that happens week in and week out with him. So that's why I think they're always the team to beat.
The biggest
non-answer. I think that's right. But I think that this year's team in particular,
political answer.
None of it can happen without Patrick, and because the receiving core was in such disarray, certainly early in the year, I think if you just put a good quarterback on the Chiefs, the offense grinds to a halt. I think it took a great player.
Absolutely.
With all that said,
but no one's doubting that.
The reason this Chiefs team was able to survive the growing pains is what they were able to do defensively, which is what makes it so unique. So Brady, throughout his run, 9 times had a top 5 scoring defense. This is Mahomes' first one. And here's another place, I want your take on it, Coach, where I see a similarity between the Chiefs and the Patriots dynasty. The Patriots had a defensive-minded head coach who got to go mind meld with a great offensive coordinator who he didn't really have to worry about losing for a long stretch of time, because after Josh flamed out with the Broncos, it was going to be a decade till he got another head coaching opportunity. So he didn't, while everyone else was dealing with brain drain and things like that, and while he had to lose you guys, defensive coordinators, a lot, because he's defensive side of the ball, when you leave, he can pick up some of the slack there until the next guy's kind of ready for it. Andy gets Steve Spagnuolo a year into Mahomes as the starter. Spagnuolo did not work out as a head coach. No one talks about interviewing for jobs. None of it. So Andy, while he can lose Bieniemy and pick up some of the slack over the course of the year, he has Steve Spagnuolo there to basically the whole time to be able to run that and not have to worry about losing it, which I think is a huge element to this year's team, and it's similar to what the Patriots had with Josh.
Yeah, we definitely having the continuity with Andy and the long relationship with Spagnuolo. A lot of people wouldn't have stayed with Spagnuolo the way that Andy did, and now he's viewed differently than he was during the early days of the Chiefs' reign. But it still comes back to the fact that with Patrick, he is such a force multiplier.
There we go.
He's gone through the first contract. He's paid all that money. They've had to not spend as much money on offensive players. And now there's growing pains, but he's still finding a way to make it work. And everybody on that sideline knows that as long as we're in the game, as you know, and late, Patrick's probably going to pull it out. Mm-hmm. And that confidence, that extreme confidence, it's huge. It's huge.
You want to go, Brew? I had a question.
No.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think Patrick Mahomes being the force multiplier, that's exactly right. And just instilling that confidence that down by 7 or down by 3 is pretty much just as good as being tied, or even up by, or being up by 3, because you're just like, as long as we get the ball back to Mahomes, we will score again. Or if it's the last drive, not only will we score again, we will just straight up win. And that just rallies everyone. That rallies the offense, defense, special teams. It just keeps everyone engaged, which you kind of saw on full display. Lamar Jackson throws the interception, slams his helmet, slams his hand. And that's a different message that is completely reverberating throughout the, throughout the team, and throughout the bench, throughout the fans, throughout the stadium, just the coaching staff, everywhere. And that, to me, is such a glaring difference. And again, that is what makes the LeBron James, the Steph Currys, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, is that they are true force multipliers, not just on the field and court, but also off it as well. Not just for the players and the teammates immediately on, but also on the bench, on the practice squads, the coaches, the fans, the everything. It's just an overall indescribable energy and feeling tone that is not always easy to put into words, that only so many players are fortunate to have that ability. And Patrick Mahomes is, of course, one of them. And so, yeah, that's the way I see it. I thought this was an interesting conversation because I'm really curious as to what you guys all have to say. I feel like a lot of you are going to be like, what are you talking about? The Chiefs are hated and this or that. So would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community, and I would love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.